Hello and welcome back. This is Andre, and in this episode I will talk about the mini projects that we have to do in this holiday, and with this occasion I also want to make a comparison between this type of research-based projects and compare them with what I was doing this time last year in my undergraduate degree. So in the last week, which was also the last week of 2019, I focused on working towards completing the two mini projects. One of them is in image processing and the other one is in digital signal processing. And I will give a little bit more details in a second. And because it was the New Year's Eve anniversary, I managed to clock about 35 hours. Most of them in the digital signal processing one. And in the next week, my focus is going to be just managing to almost finish those two projects. I want by the end of the next week, so on the 10th, to have both of them in a state which is close to ready to be submitted, and have a mini paper written for both of them, and then see whether I can improve. So this means that in the next week I think that I will put 55 hours and hope to get some good results. Now I want to focus the conversation on looking and comparing how this type of mini project, which is a research-based one, is different than a normal, let's say, type of coursework which people and I was encountering in the undergraduate degree. And I want to set the scene with giving examples of the two projects that we have to do right now, and then compare them with what I was doing this time last year, and we can see how they distinguish themselves. So this year, one of the projects is an image processing coursework, in which the professor gave us a theme. And the theme is about doing style transfer. So getting, let's say, a famous painting and transferring the style of the stroke of the brush to a normal picture. And the constraint is that we should do this in the gradient domain. Now, these are a bit technical terms, but the key idea is that the constraint of the gradient domain implies novelty, because there are only two papers which I found talking about this gradient domain type of stylization. So there are not many resources on how to do these things. So we are assumed to be, let's say, creative and come up with some, let's say, ideas of tweaking normal method in order to contain this type of approach. And the point is that the professor gave us a starting point. It's an idea, a theme, but what we should do is up to us, and we are having the possibility of choosing what we want. But there is a classic quote that with much freedom comes great responsibility, and I think that applies in this case as well, because it's much harder to create your own structure of the project rather than it be given to you. And then the second project, it's in digital signal processing, and that is about the professor made a setup of a computer and a monitor, and the computer is connected with an HDMI cable to the monitor. And now this HDMI cable is having an electromagnetic field which can be recorded with an antenna. So if you take an antenna and you put it on this HDMI cable, the radio frequency recorded by the antenna contains in itself the image which we see on the monitor. So now our task is, given this recording of the signal which is transmitted on the HDMI cable, we have to reconstruct the image. But the point is that the antenna is outside of the HDMI cable, so we just hear what is moving on the HDMI cable. And in this project we have some hints of directions in which we can go, but it's still up to us how to approach those ideas, because each of these hints is a path towards a direction in which we can solve those tasks. And similar with the first project, the main point is that it is a research type of project, in the sense that we are supposed to test our own hypothesis and try different scenarios until we find something else. But most important, we are not guaranteed a positive results. So even if we get a bad result, we need to talk and filter through our thinking, why do we think that this is a bad result? And both projects will end up with writing a paper of about 8 pages. It's more of like a project report / paper in which we need to argue what we did, why we did that, and evaluate the results which we got. And so those projects have, let's say, a feel of ambiguity into them, in the sense that we get only the theme. And now compare those with what I was doing last year. Last year I was having, normal type of coursework where you have, a problem and a set of requirements, and each requirement has the number of points associated with it. And usually those requirements are, firstly, very well defined in the sense that you know what you need to do, and secondly, the task, like the answer to the task, it's somewhere situated in the notes for the course. So if you learn the course and don't look anywhere else, just in the course, you will find the answer there and code, and you can get maximum points on a normal type of coursework. But the key differences between them is the level of ambiguity which is involved. Because last year I was doing pretty well in those courses because it's very well defined what you need to do. So it's a matter of just putting the time to do it. But this year, with this type of, let's say, research-based coursework, it's harder to find the direction in which you go first, and then we also have to collect our own data sets, and we have to argue why do we do those things, and this puts more pressure. I would say it also adds a level of excitement, but not too much, because it's not extremely excited to be in the ambiguity. But it's still, I would say, funnier and more interesting to do a research type coursework, because it gives you the possibility to pick the direction in which you are interested in. So the key difference is the level of ambiguity in between this type of courseworks. Now, in the next week, I will focus on those core sources, and before I finish this video, I want to wish everybody a better new year and health. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.